Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another prediction speculation for the Bad Batch Season 2. We're talking about episode 12, The Outpost, today. We just came off a really great episode of the Bad Batch Season 2. We're back. It's Metamorphosis was wonderful and one of the best episodes we've gotten in a while. One of the top 3 or 4 of the season for sure. So episode 12 is exciting to talk about. So we're going to dive into everything we think might happen in the Outpost. But before we do so, please hit that like button down below. Try to get this video to about 40 likes. That would really help us out. And if you subscribe to the channel, if you are not subscribed, we will be doing a ton more content like this. We are doing Bad Batch predictions and speculation until this show is over, but we are also doing Mandalorian predictions and speculation. So if you're just finding this video, these used to come out on Fridays. This is coming out on Sunday now. Mandalorian is now coming out on the Friday spot in our slate, but we will always give you guys Bad Batch predictions and speculation. And if you're interested in our reviews of the shows themselves, we do a joint review of both episodes on Wednesday mornings, every single Wednesday morning. So make sure you check out those reviews as well. So let's dive into the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12, The Outpost. Let's just start off with the thing we talked about basically every single week since Episode 3. And that is, sorry for all of you who've listened to our predictions for this entire runtime, but we're going to talk about Crosshair again because we were pretty sure that Metamorphosis seemed like a great title to have Crosshair back. We haven't seen anything from Crosshair since the 3rd episode, when Cody left, when it seemed like there's a lot of tension between him and Rampart. Now that Rampart's arrested and we don't really know what Rampart's role is going to be throughout the rest of the show, seemed like a good place to touch back with Crosshair, see what the mission was that Rampart sent him on, see what he's been doing this entire season since we haven't seen him. Sanak, what do you think if this episode features Crosshair? First of all, let me know if you think it features Crosshair. And secondly, what do you think his connection to the Outpost could be?
Well, I will say, I think finally we will get Crosshair. I honestly wish he had a bit of like a perspective with what was in Metamorphosis. I still wish that Metamorphosis, as wonderful as it was to pay off a lot of that Zilla Beast stuff, and then it didn't really conclude it either. It kind of felt like, okay, there could be a Zilla Beast like perspective again in the future. Maybe we drag this out to a different era of Star Wars storytelling, and now we're like in the original trilogy, the Mando, the sequel era, and we see a Zilla Beast. I don't know, but Crosshair will be in this episode. I wish Metamorphosis included like what they're doing to the clones. Maybe start some teases at strand casts and stuff like that. Because Zilla Beast just felt like pure cloning. I don't know if we're making that shift from cloning to strand cast yet. Maybe it's still too early in the timeline. But the Outpost just feels like it's going to be a Clone Wars episode with Crosshair, like Clone Wars, but dark. I want to say this is going to be in line with like how we saw the Umbaran arc episodes and what we saw in episode 3 of season 2. I think this will be just desolate. When you get sent to an unnamed mission, the next episode is called The Outpost. So Outpost only feels like Imperial to me, and Imperial being that we have to have Crosshair now with that perspective. Maybe this is the mission that he was sent on. Maybe this is just what he's stuck with. In my mind, I want Tantus to continue getting its development, and I would love for the Outpost to be Mount Tantus. If it's not Mount Tantus, I would also love it to be like, now after the Bad Batch has like come into view of Mount Tantus, has entered our facilities once already. Maybe now we have like a little bit more of like a, hey, we're gonna have security, kind of like how when the Rishi Moon from season 1 was like, that's our first line of defense. Maybe we have like an outpost situation like that. In my mind, that would be a good way to start really protecting Mount Tantus now that you have all the key players like Lamasu. Now let's say you have this new doctor and he seems very villainous, and more clone commandos. Secrecy is only going to be building up Zilla Beasts. Like, you have to keep these things not even just planet protected, but like system wide protected. So maybe it'll be that. But if it's going to be really dark and desolate in the same way, I could also see this be an episode where we see Crosshair completely fall out of like the Imperial dedication that he has, because this is such a like a beleaguered, very dark and dry, like where we see the Imperials and the sloppiness of them. I would love to see Crosshair like pick up like Legends Cody era like attitude towards a lot of the Imperials. He's already killed them, so it's not like he has a lot of love for them anyways. But I think the day-to-day of them, he's already faced this isolation away from clones. If he's now fully surrounded by like TK troopers and all that, and they try to like be nice to him, but they're still failing on like routine duties. Maybe just long periods of being around them, he just finally cracks. Maybe this is a place where they're like starting work on like mutating clones and repurposing clones, kind of like what we saw with the Believer assassin in the mid-season episodes. I don't know. There's a lot of different angles. I think you could still be Tantus. You could be just a place where he falls out of love with the Tiki Troopers, or you could be something that's extremely crucial to the plot for all different eras of Star Wars storytelling with cloning, where the clone troopers are, what's happening to them. There's a lot of things there. My bet is still more of like the drier Imperial perspective, but I don't know. I'm open to anything as long as we just have Crosshair like having his metamorphosis to say.
Yeah. Well, Crosshair really has been our only access to not just Imperial perspective, but also clone perspective throughout this season, especially. Like we got Hauser last season for a couple episodes. We got the Bad Batch more tightly and intertwined with clones last season. We got Cutler Quain. So there was multiple types of clone perspective last season. The only real access to Imperial clone perspective right now has been Crosshair through Cody and then our two-part mid-season episodes. So it would be nice to get back in touch with that. I think the Outpost could end up being a place that Crosshair was stationed maybe by Rampart, and he's just kind of been there for a long time, just doing nothing and waiting for kind of what he is supposed to do. Maybe this episode would give us a little bit more clarity on what's happening to Rampart. Like we said, I mean, I personally, I know we keep saying every week, but I still would be personally very disappointed if we never saw Rampart again. Like if he was just arrested and that was it. Even though the Emperor's word could be final, I would like to at least know what happened to our main villain of the first 1.5 seasons of this show. Like this, he was a face character. He wasn't just like that Imperial that shows up every 5 episodes and is like, attack them. Like it wasn't that. Like he had lines, we had his perspective, we cut to him a lot. I want to know what happened to him. So maybe if we do get Crosshair, I would like it to touch a bit more on what happened to Rampart. Is he still active in the military? Was his arrest kind of all the front for the senators and just to continue to appease the representatives who still think they have power in that early transition from Republic to Empire? Because this is very early and we haven't reached the Andor timeline. That is still like 15 years away, to the point where Mon Mothma and like 2 senators and the whole Senate are like, we still can affect change. And everybody else is like, we're just happy to eat our feasts and do nothing. I think we could still definitely get that Rampart perspective, but I would like to see Crosshair at least either one, give us access to some of the goings on with the Empire, or 2, give us some access to more clone perspective. I do think at this point he's not going to be redeemed unless it's directly by the Bad Batch themselves. So I don't think this is like some type of change in Crosshair back to the good. I don't think if there's really anything he could be forced to do that would force him to second guess his role in the Empire. At this point, he's done so many atrocities that it's really like it would take something huge to change him back. And I think without the Batch indirectly involved in his story, which I don't think they would do in the 12th episode, I think this is definitely, if he's the main character, going to center around him on some type of mission or doing some type of duty. And hopefully it does connect back to where he was. I mean, the Outpost could be the punishment that maybe Rampart just punished him by putting him there because he let Cody kind of dictate and walk away from the Empire, versus when he kind of knew that Cody was not feeling, great. There was a hint of disloyalty towards the Empire, and Crosshair didn't really report it, that it could be a punishment type thing. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways we can go, but I'd love to just get more back into his head because we haven't seen it since the 3rd episode. He was such a huge part of last season. I'd really like to get back to it. And for all intents and purposes, he is still a member of the Bad Batch originally. The show is not complete without him. He's on the posters. He's everywhere. So let's see Crosshair. But let's talk about the Batch too, because all these episodes have been Batch focused. Where last season it seemed like we could either get Crosshair or the Batch. Getting Crosshair this episode doesn't necessarily mean we don't get the Batch. And I mean, the odds of us getting Crosshair are still slimmer compared to getting the Batch. So, do you have any ideas or thoughts on what the Batch's role might be next? Do you think it will connect back to Mount Tantus? This last episode really ends with them like we are caught in the middle of something that is not going away. We need to get back in touch with Cody and Echo.
Mhm.
We need to explore further options here for the future of the galaxy because the Empire is doing some heinous stuff here in the city. And as much as we try to ignore it and get back into our mercenary life, it's following us wherever we go. Do you think the Batch will get back into this main story, continue along the road we set in Metamorphosis, or do you think they are going to go back to Sid to another mission off in the middle of nowhere?
Well, I'm gonna assume that you mean Rex and Echo, not Cody and Echo, because we still have no idea what's happening with Cody. Maybe Cody's at this outpost. That'd be kind of depressing too to see, like, if he's been reformed and shifted in a way. But regarding the Bad Batch, I think they're gonna play a lesser role here. They're the B plot for this episode in my mind. I think you're not gonna again when you're not gonna have them contact Rex and Echo, and then you'll find out that they're like like a safe port for a lot of these clones to like journey towards, and this is like where they're being kept at. I don't think that at all. So whatever they're doing is so stealthy. It's so like top of the line, and probably even darker than something we'll see in the Outpost in terms of like secrecy and conspiracy. That if we do get in contact with them, it's like we'll meet up at the specific place. These are things that are going to happen. I know. I think a pretty interesting thing with the like the visual language of the episode is that it kind of ends with like Omega smirking a little bit, like, "Oh man, the family's going to get together." And I kind of feel bad for her because I think this is going to be like a little bit of a growing up in a reality check of like, yeah, like we're all going to be together again, and it's going to be even if it's for a short while, it'll be nice. But you've already evolved past Echo being in this company. We were always talking about it in season one. Like Echo's not really a player. He's not even talking about fives and all that. He's just kind of stagnant. He's just kind of like he's quite literally a robot for an episode for them. And yeah, a lot of overlap with Tech. In season two, he again became the consciousness of the group, and now he's gone. And now they've learned from him. He's left like an after image of what his constant thoughts were and like how we proceed with these episodes. But now that the reunion comes about, I think Omega's gonna have like a reality check of like he needs to be doing this. He can't just come back to us. It is darker than we all expected. Maybe this isn't even something that we should be doing. Maybe we can only support Rex and Echo in their missions. I want to see the Bad Batch kind of struggle with. I mean, they're already on the verge of quitting Sid. They're trying to leave it like as in here's my 2 week notice. Thanks so much for the support, sort of thing. Now it's like, well, are we gonna full send with him? I don't think so either. I think it's more of like we'll help you where we can, and maybe a lot of this what are they we're working on is going to be tied back to Omega because again the Doctor now is like aware of Omega. They're definitely going to try to pick her up. Maybe they also find out like en route to like the safe spot of meeting up with the Bad Batch and trying to debrief them. It's that oh no they're coming for Omega, like get away, and this could be like an episode where Omega is once more thrown into like the plot herself of like, hey, now they're trying to use you. There's more to you than just being the Omega to Boba's Alpha. Now there's like some things that were specifically done for you. Even if you're unaltered, there's like a potential for you that's more than what was revealed in season one.
Yeah, I'd love the season to end with her separated from the Bad Batch and kind of in the clutches of the Empire. I think that would be pretty compelling as we get towards season three. I mean, not to talk about season three already, but I think season three we're going to get it sooner than later because this season was already delayed. Like this season was ready and it was delayed. It was not delayed because they weren't done. They were done. So season three is probably in either active development and almost done, or maybe even close to done. And we could even get it around this time next year, or even late this year. I mean, we don't know. They might announce something at Star Wars Celebration. The season will have just ended by then. But anyway, to get back on topic, I would love. We talked about this after the mid-season episodes with Echo leaving. We have now Bad Batch in three different groups, right? We have Echo as part of the Bad Batch now in the fight, the heart of the fight with the clones. We have Crosshair in the heart of the Empire, and we have our main group of the Bad Batch doing Bad Batch things. So it would be nice to whether, this, even if this wasn't a Crosshair episode, what if it was an Echo and Rex episode? We need an Echo episode, and we got so much character development for him already this season, but we definitely lean more into Tech's side in the last few episodes. It'd be nice to go back to Echo and have a full, like, old school Clone Wars Echo and Rex team up episode. Maybe we learn more about Rex's operation. We learn more about what he's doing with the clones, how he's rescuing clones and getting them out of the, like, changing their identity when everyone in the galaxy knows their face. How do you take people whose face is instantly recognizable and hide them? Like, that is definitely something that I think we need to touch on. I'd love that to be the focus of this episode, and not this episode, next episode. It could, what if it was Rex and Echo going on a mission that ended up having them intertwine with Crosshair on an outpost if he's stationed there? It could be something like that, or maybe Crosshair is sent on a mission to go to an outpost that Rex and Echo are on. There's all different types of things that we could do, but I think getting back into that Echo and Rex storyline, with them being directly name dropped, like in the last seconds of this episode, with the urgency from Omega, and even to, like, the dismay of Hunter, who's kind of sitting there like, I don't want to get involved. I need to protect my little family here. But Tech and Omega, Tech being the straightforward one, Omega being, the kid who is idealistic, they want everybody back together. I think this episode was brilliantly set to strategically push us forward towards the finale. Again, we got 3 episodes before the finale because both are coming out on the same day. This would be a great way to catch back up with Crosshair or Echo and Rex. Then the next hair is Crosshair or Echo and Rex, and then the 3rd episode is the Bad Batch meeting up with all of them, and then bang, we got our finale. That would perfectly lead us into all of that. And I would love the batch to re-intertwine with those characters, because I think right now, for better or worse, we have heavily done Bad Batch this season, where last season you could accuse the show of definitely sidelining the Batch for a lot of episodes. So this season has taken the opposite approach, where it's like nobody else is the main focus. I think we've earned the screen time for other characters at this point. And if that perspective shifts to Rex and Echo, and we have like kind of a transition there, and if Omega needs to be in every episode with the Batch to give us a perspective, maybe Omega goes on a mission with Rex and Echo. But I would love to kind of have that handing of the baton moment so we can get inside Echo's head especially. But I want to see Rex. I want to see what this mission is. I want to see what the clones are doing and how they're able to hide each other across the galaxy when they're obviously well known by everyone. So that's going to wrap up our prediction speculation for the Bad Batch episode 12, The Outpost. Thank you so much for watching. Again, comment below. Let us know what you think might happen. Maybe you think something will happen that we didn't touch on. Let us know. We always respond to your comments. And again, if you have not checked out our other videos, we already posted our Mandalorian prediction speculation for episode 2. Make sure you check that video out, as well as our review for episode 1 and the Bad Batch episode 11. We do post our reviews every single Wednesday, so make sure you're checking those videos out. We will have a review for Jedi Battle Scars also out this Monday. Make sure you check that out. It will come out the day before the book drops in stores. So if you want to hear our thoughts before you buy it, make sure you check out our video on Jedi Battle Scars. It's the latest novel in the Star Wars canon, touching on the gap between Fallen Order and Survivor. And we, of course, we will always be streaming Jedi Fallen Order every single Friday and answering your questions live there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.